being on vacation sucks. It's Romania Black, and no, we should be happy that Sukuna, king of all curses, is on vacation right now as we are in season 3 of Jujutsu Kaisen. And should we keep the crown on? We'll keep it on, at least for the comments section, before we get started with episode 7 of season 3 of Jujutsu Kaisen. And yes, I'm still waiting on some wigs to get in before I can do any future cosplay. So I was like, you know what? I was Yuuji last week, and we haven't seen Sukuna in a while, which is not a bad thing. And so we're just gonna be Sukuna tonight. Seems legit, right? Seems legit. So, and that's where we are. But I have quite a few comments related to episode 6 that we need to talk about. So we're just gonna dive right into that. First though, I wanna talk about episode 5. Soul Holders says, one correction about the conversation between Yuuji and Hikari. Yuuji asks, what about people who want to live a peaceful life? And Hikari says, I don't know anyone like that. This is an interesting moment for their characters and how they view normal people. Yuuji fights to protect the innocent, and Hikari doesn't see anyone as innocent. And I'm like, ooh! And you know what? I'm kind of torn with that because on the one hand, I do agree with Hikari. I don't think anyone is innocent entirely in this world. I think everyone has done at least one bad thing in their life, and that's fine. Even if it's like the scale of bad is very subjective, right? But I do agree with Yuuji. I think two things can be true at once. I think that there cannot be innocent people, but at the same time, I think that there can be people who just want to live a peaceful life. I do think that there is that. I think Yaga is a great example of that. R.I.P. May he rest in peace. But I think that there are people that want to live a peaceful life. I don't think Yuji's wrong, but I also don't think Hikari is wrong either. I think no one is truly innocent in this world, but it's an interesting conversation to bring up. Ashy Roy 9454 for episode 5 says, I think it's implied that the higher-ups think that Panda is the only cursed corpse who is autonomous, but they don't know about Takaru and the other dolls in the place hidden by Tengen. So Panda is not unique. Panda is just the only one that they know about, because Yaga wanted to create an impression that Panda was an accident. But creating Takaru and telling Gakuganji about how to make an autonomous cursed corpse means that he knew all along and just didn't want to tell anybody. Well, I also wouldn't want to tell anyone I'm stuffing artificial souls of dead people into dolls to imitate those who have passed away to create new life. Ashley Roy says, I'm more interested, where did he get the 2 additional bodies or souls for Takaru? Did he kill someone? How do you even find more souls? And whose soul's information did he put in Panda for him not to have the personality of a dead person, but to develop his own? I do think that they established that Panda has 3 animal spirits inside of him, but my theory is just in the nature of it being cursed energy, he was able to create his own autonomous personality that can speak and learn like that. I think of the grasshopper curse spirit and all that. So Gege's probably got some like calculus explanation of how that all works. But I do think there is an interesting question of, with the other cursed dolls, whose other souls are inside of them? That's a great question. I'm telling you, Frankenstein's monster, 100%. As far as episode 6 goes, Tomas Machurana, we've got a couple of comments about the Culling game and the Maki clan and the Zenin, formerly known as the Zenin clan, now the Maki clan, that I want to clear up. Thomas Machurana 7674 says, killing the Zenin clan would not have given Maki any points. Tengen shows us that the Culling Games takes place within colonies scattered throughout Japan. These colonies are a kind of barrier or space where the game occurs, and the Zenin clan was not located within one of these spaces. Conveniently. We can also remember that Maki can enter and leave at will, so if she had entered to participate, she would have had to leave the game anyway. Sorry if anything's misspelled or translated. No, you're great. That explains a lot. Also, you know what? She should have just rounded them up, bound them all up. They were probably into that, and then just took them to a colony. How hard would that have been? No. That makes more sense. It makes me feel a little bit better about the situation because I'm like, okay, Maki didn't have any choice, but also, damn, that sucks. Damn, that sucks. We could have been what could have been, but you know what? If she didn't kill him, then probably old what's-his-face, Hajime or somebody might have, and we can't have that. So Redhead PNZ says, the Culling game began immediately after the activation of the Kenjaku technique at the end of the second season. Thus, the game has been going on for 10 days. In addition, those who were marked by Kin became quote-unquote players. New players must agree to participate when crossing the barrier. Thus, Maki and her clan cannot receive points because they are not players. Now, the moderator Be Happy did respond to this and said, I'll add that those marked by Kenjaku became potential players. They will become full-on players once they enter a colony. That's why Megumi is trying to find a way to prevent his sister from becoming a player in the 9 days remaining of the 19 announced. So yeah, his sister hasn't technically joined yet. Here's the thing. What if she joins? What if she joins? What if they do all this work and create it to where she doesn't have to, but she joined anyway? I'm expecting that. I could see Gege doing a really crazy twist like that. I don't know if it's going to come to that or not, but we shall see. Sasha for episode 6 says, great episode, but the end left me with a question. When did Yuuji become a player? Kogane appeared over his head, and it's only attached to players, but as far as I remember, Yuuji didn't even know about the Culling Games until Tengen told him. Does he count as an ancient sorcerer because of Sukuna? Or did he accidentally enter a colony while in Shibuya? I didn't talk about this back in episode 3, but my guess was that one, now that we know about Kenjaku, I'm like, one, Kenjaku made the point of saying that he had marked people way ahead of time. I think Yuuji was marked way ahead of time. Way ahead of time, because he could have been marked at birth for all we know. I doubt that, but I do think Kenjaku marked him like way earlier because he wanted him to be part of it because of Sukuna. But also I do agree with the former that it could be because Sukuna is an ancient sorcerer that, you know, through the cursed objects is now using Yuuji as a vessel. I think it's one of those two things. Either Kenjaku marked him way ahead of time, or it's because of Sukuna. That's my guess on that, but maybe we'll find out something different. Lineal says, I think it's really endearing, a sign of loyalty that Kirara left Jujutsu High School just to be with Hikari. She mentioned the higher-ups didn't like his technique and made no mention of her own. It made me think and wonder, do you think they were actually okay with her power despite its complexity? It doesn't seem to be mixed with technology, at least from what we've seen, which seems to be their biggest gripe. Oh, these Luddites higher-ups, they don't like tech changes, right? I do agree with the fact they seem to prefer simpler techniques, though. Still, Kirara's obviously seems like something super useful to have on hand, so I could see them begrudgingly accepting the complexity that comes with it. I just find her technique so interesting. Me too. It's definitely at its best as a defensive measure, but it has the potential for combat. I mean, trying to figure out her technique on the fly while having to dodge cars or whatever that she magnetizes to you would not be easy. She just had the misfortune of ending up against a duo that could piece it together quick enough. True. And then I agree. I think that Kirara's technique is not... It's not so OP that the higher-ups would be worried about it, but it also doesn't involve enough technology that they'd be like, we can't have anything involving AI or technology. So I think that they'd be fine with it. But I like that Kirara's like, no, I'm loyal to Hikari, bye. Lineal also says, can I just say I love how they're handling Yuuji this season? Oh, me too. I really like how you can tell how the events of season 2 have left their mark on him. Their mark, so to speak. It breaks my heart to see him so beaten down, but they haven't overdone it. It just makes sense. Yeah. No, Yuuji last episode especially was really on point. I think that all the things he said made sense with what he's been through. Sukuna's just chilling down here inside of him, having a party all by himself, dancing by himself. But Yuuji's taking it all on the chin, and I really love that. So finally, I have Anime Annie. Anime Annie has a pretty long comment that has several parts to it, but the last part is interesting, but I'm going to start out with this. Yes, Panda Seiyu, Sekitomo Kazu, is Daru from Steins Gate. I was like, but voice actor trivia that might surprise you, he's the voice of Kogami from Psycho Pass. Kogami, the sexiest man, arguably outside of one other character, the sexiest man, potentially in that entire series, is also the voice of Panda. And if you've watched Psycho Pass, sounds nothing like Panda. I was like, oh, the range. The range, you say? Funny that. Anime Annie says, technically, we got fan service on two fronts in this episode. The abs shot with Fushiguro and the ass shot from Panda. I'm not a furry, y'all, but if you are, good for you. Good for you. I need to know if Kirara chooses the place her curse technique marks, or if it's just down to fate. Either way, Kirara or fate chose those specific places to mark like a tattoo. It made me giggle. Both are on the risque side for placement, considering it's on Panda's butt, and Fushiguro is pretty much on his Adonis belt. I was like, yeah, them hip bones, y'all. But yeah, I like to think that maybe it's just fate, because on the rabbits it was just in a random place, but Gege knows his fan service. Gege understands how fan service works. The bridge where we met Kashimo actually made me think of a different meeting than not just Junpei. Back in season 1, when we saw little kid Toto meeting Tsukumo for the first time, it reminds me of the place he was pummeling the other kid at. Yeah, those are kind of the same places too. I definitely think Toto's encounter relates more to Hajime's. Could you imagine Hajime and Toto would go all out? We haven't seen Toto in forever, so maybe that'll be something that happens. I don't know. I don't know what Toto's up to. Anime Annie says, we differ a little with the Sukuna. This kind of Anime Annie's comment kind of inspired me to be Sukuna in this cosplay, so there we go. And the Kashimo thing. Not ruling out enemies to lovers, but also considering the possibility of some kind of obsession. My shipper brain definitely perked up with Kashimo's mention of Sukuna. Now, a big part of my shipper heart immediately opened to the possibility of Sukuna and Kashimo, mainly because of the Seiyu. Kashimo's voice actor is Kimura Ryohei, or Kisei from Kuroko's Basketball, as well as Bokuto from Haikyuu, Nishimura from Natsume, and Kamui from Psycho-Pass. We're getting all the Psycho-Pass people up in here. So my Kuroko no Basketball cult leader brain immediately jumped to thinking of Kisei and Aomine, given that Suwabe voices Sukuna. What I will say, though, is that Kashimo definitely seems a smarter character than most of the others I've heard Kimura voice, with how well he thought out the rule that he wanted to add. Okay, now look, we don't need to be jinxing old Hajime, but that rule he thought of was a pretty common sense rule that he's like, well, if A plus B equals C, so he might actually not be as smart as we're giving him credit for, but we're gonna hope that he is. Also, what a dig. And then this part here. Now, Anime Annie is anime only. We've talked about this in the Discord, which y'all can join on Patreon and talk with us. The Jujutsu Kaisen channel, whenever Thursdays roll around, is pretty hopping. It's pretty wild. I barely have time to get in there because it's just like, but Anime Annie says, yes, Kirara is another third-year student from the Tokyo school. In season 3, episode 5, there was a tiny scene that told us this. When Panda and Fushiguro were discussing the situation with Hikari, Panda mentioned Kirara. In response, Fushiguro asked, but the other third year was a guy, right? They did say that. And Panda confirmed this. They specifically used the term otako in Japanese, which translates to a man, a male, or a guy. When I was watching episode 5, I wondered if Fushiguro asked this question because the name Kirara is more predominantly a female name, I believe, similar to his own name, Megumi. But given Kirara's looks and the way of speaking are rather female presenting, this question could be Akutami's way of introducing Kirara as a trans character to the viewers who have seen what Kirara looks like and how she speaks to Hikari. Look, I'm all for this. I don't put it past Gege. Gege and Fushimoto are pretty progressive mangaka in my mind. I don't push it past them. If Oda can have a trans character, why not? I mean, why not? Good. I'm glad for the representation. I love it. I'm still on board. It's changed nothing except to specify that if we had further dialogue from the past that said Otako, well, now we know Kirara's a woman. End of story. That's it. And so I still love Kirara and Hikari. Amazing ship them to death. Love that. Love the representation. Get it, Gege. And I like that Gege, given how, just from my experience and knowledge of Japan, is fairly conservative, how he's just like sliding that in under the radar. Just enough to where we'll catch it, but maybe somebody in the higher ups of the real world will not. So, nice, love that, good for them. So, I freaking love Kirara and Hikari. I'm glad that they, last episode, toned down and are on Yuuji and Megumi and everybody and Panda's side, but now we have Hajime to worry about, now we need to know what we're doing next, we need a game plan, so Sukuna's ready to kick back and just see what happens, right? I am going to take this crown off, though, because it may fall off during the reaction, and I don't want that to happen. So, with that being said, now, I was told earlier this week that the skip intro button was not working on Crunchyroll. Get it together, Crunchyroll. But if that is still the case, then I'm just going to talk you through the intro and not pay attention to it because I can't watch it yet. So with that being said, we'll just find out if it's gotten fixed or not, right? So we're going to check out episode 7 of season 3 of Jujutsu Kaisen, aka episode 54, if you can believe it. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's jam! Okay. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this setup episode. Don't think that there's not. And we have things to talk about. And we need to break this episode down because there was quite a bit that I was like, wait, who is that? What? And then characters that know Yuuji, but we've not seen them before, and then Kenjaku, and then splitting up the gang, which I get why we have to do that, but I'm like, and then these 2 new characters, the other hunters. It's just, there is a lot of madness that can happen, and I feel like Whiteboard Kun and I, we need to take a roll call. We need to get started. Sukuna needs to get their crown back on. And we need to get into this. I'm glad Sukuna was mentioned. I was like, oh yes, of course. So we need to dive into this episode and start this sucker out because when we first, and I'm going to pull up the screenshot and show you all this here in 3, 2, 1. When we first saw this girl, I just thought it was a random person, a random citizen, someone who just happened to be assisted by Kenjaku's just like leading the children out of the barrier, which, can we talk about that? He's like, I'm the sorcerer who erected the barrier and the spot's been chosen for people to kill each other in. There's no real honor in it, unfortunately. And she's like, kill each other. And I like how she says, could you not do that in my neighborhood? Could you go somewhere else and do this game? He's like, that's funny. He's like, no, I kind of spent a lot of time putting this together. There's an old execution site not far from here that's about 5 or 6 kilometers. I went through great pains to create this barrier, so I can't impose restrictions that are too unreasonable. But those of you inside the barrier get a chance to leave once. If you wish, you could wake up outside the barrier. And she's like, wake up? Like, am I dreaming? And he's like, you're just in a space between reality and dreams. It's a curse. So I want to talk about how Kenjaku, I'm putting this down here, and I'm going to put this at the very bottom. Kenjaku talks about how there is a space between reality and dreams, and it is called a curse. Which is a very interesting way to put curses, as this space between reality and dreams. Like, you have your idealistic dreams that you want, then you have the crushing despair of reality, and that's what creates the curse. That's so interesting, and I find it fascinating that Kenjaku, the choir playing, the angelic orchestra, it just, the fact that he, like, tenderly led the person outside the gate, like, at first, I was like, why is he doing this? He's like, the hasty ones are already outside. At first, I'm like, why is Kenjaku leading this girl outside the barrier? And I wondered at first if it was because Kenjaku is in Geto's former body, and maybe just like how Geto recognized Gojo from beyond the grave, if there was the fact of like Geto, you know, he had the 2 girls they took care of, if that was somewhat imposing upon Kenjaku. It's not, though. It's not, though. Could that be part of it? Maybe. But it's not entirely. Then when they go outside and you see this just like hellscape that he's leading her through, and it's like the school and everything's being eaten by these like speaking of Kim Possible. No! Oh, there went the crown. There she went. I knew that was going to happen. That's why I didn't wear it during the reaction. But I was like, there's the naked mole rat from Kim Possible. Isn't helping Ron out. I know his name is Amai, but I'm probably just going to call him Ron Stoppable. I'm going to call him Ron Stoppable for the rest of the series. Or when I'm like, no, Ron Stoppable, I'm going to do that instead of Amai. So we'll get to him. But yeah, it's just hell. There's dinosaurs there, which dinosaurs feels like a reference to not love exposure, but to, oh God, I watched that movie on my Patreon commissions earlier this year, but I just watched it. Sunspots recommended it. It was about It was about it's like the yaoi that was brought to live action. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, sound off down below. The name of it has blanked in my mind because it's overrun with Jujutsu Kaisen right now, but it looked like the dinosaurs that were in that movie. But here's the thing. Then Kenjaku says, "Oh right, I nearly forgot to mention it. Thank you for being friends with my son." And at first, I thought, oh, this was the girl that lost all the weight that had a crush on Yuuji that Nobara and Fushiguro like tried to hook Yuuji up with or get him reconnected with. That's what I thought it was at first, but then I was like, she doesn't look like that friend. Doesn't look like her at all. Maybe Mappa's just drawing her differently. No. Let me pull up a screenshot. The guy that talks to her outside when she gets to the barrier, we'll see him in a second. I was like, he looks familiar. No, that's her. It's the girl with the glasses from episode 1, and the friend is the guy. When I saw his closed eyes and pink cheeks and his big nose, I'm like, is he the occult guy from season 1? That's been forever ago, but he looked familiar. It is. Look how different Megumi looks in the background. Look how a year has made Megumi into like a buff, basically husband to Yuuji, as we'll talk about later in this episode. But yeah, that's them. She's just not wearing her glasses. I was like, oh, wow. So that tells me a number of things. It tells me, one, Kenjaku has been following Yuuji around for a very long time. Since birth, probably. Has been following him around and seeing who's interacted with. 2, be kind to people. Because you never know. Be kind to everyone around you, because you never know when that person is going to erect a barrier that's going to cause a game between jujutsu sorcerers that could get you killed but helps you out because you were friends with his son. Be kind to everybody, because you just never know. It's just like... But also, this adds another layer to Kenjaku in all of this madness, that he didn't have to do this. He didn't have to acknowledge that she was friends with Yuuji. He didn't have to do that. Kenjaku did not have to acknowledge that this girl was friends with Yuuji. Kenjaku did not have to spare her life. Kenjaku could have just been like, they'll either get out or they won't. But they made especially sure that she got out because she was Yuuji's friend. And I don't know, from what we've discussed in this series, I don't know if it's because Kenjaku like gave birth to Yuuji, which is still, the fact that Kenjaku could have gave birth to Yuuji is still like blowing my mind in ways that I don't have the capacity to talk about right now. But maybe it's the fact that, you know, after giving birth, Kenjaku had a change of heart about a lot of things. Could be that Kenjaku has always, like, I don't know. We don't know hardly anything about Kenjaku, in all honesty. Like, is Kenjaku someone that is like the Zenin clan and is about family in a certain way? Is Kenjaku someone that ascribes loyalty to those that are connected with those that they're connected with? We don't know. The fact that Kenjaku is personally leading all these people out of the Culling Game barriers is interesting, which I could see from a game standpoint. All those non-sorcerers could help sorcerers instantly rack up points to instantly create rules. And even though Kenjaku wants chaos, it's like, how much chaos do you want all at once? Do you really want all these extra rules to be added to the Culling Games? What if one of those rules turns out to be something that doesn't benefit you or helps Yuuji and the others counteract the Culling Games? Then I could see why strategically Kenjaku is getting the people out of the Culling Games. It's not so kind and considerate as it would be. But still, the fact that he saved the occult members and knew they were friends with my son. That's interesting. Because we have established, Kenjaku. I mean, we talked a few episodes ago about the idea that you had Choso and the other 8 death wound paintings, all representing aborted fetuses, you know, that have been imbued with cursed energy and everything. And Yuuji is the one that made it to term, and not only made it to term and was born, but was born from Kenjaku herself. It's like, that might have changed things up a little bit. I find it makes Kenjaku instantly more compelling. Instantly, in this one brief interaction, it has made me like completely rethink, what is Kenjaku doing? Why is Kenjaku doing this? What's the point? what is this mystery? And now I have this like renewed mystery with, and Huckleberry, you were going to have to put that toy up on the shelf or I'm not dealing with it. So, Sukuna has spoken. So yeah, Sasaki is her name. And then there's the guy. There he is. From season 1, episode 1. What a world. The way that we've come back around to the very beginning of the show in this arc already is just really mind-blowing, but I love it. Iguchi and Sasaki. Wow. So yeah, so they're okay. So good to know. More importantly, as an occult club member, what are your thoughts on that? Now, here's my worry. Kenjaku clearly stated, you can leave once, but once you go back, you're inside the Culling Games. So the two besties are... Here's my fear. This is where it could get really warped and twisted, right? She remembers. So this is taking place on November 1st. Let's put a little timeline note up here. November 1st in Sendai. November 1st at the Sendai colony. We don't know... I'm not a geography person, so I don't know how that is in relation to the Tokyo colonies. I don't know the distance and the relation, but that's in Sendai on November 1st. We have Sasaki, and we have, what was the other guy's name? I want to go back to that. Oh, was it, she say there? Sasaki, yeah, he says Sasaki, Iguchi, there we go. So he's like, yeah, what would you think about that, Iguchi? So Sasaki and Iguchi, who are Yuji's friends from middle school. They're middle school friends. My fear is that after Kenjaku has told them, do not go into the Culling Game. Once you do, you're going to be part of it. She thinks back. She's like, okay, the same guy took us all here, but he told me about his son. And that's when she remembers Yuji. So I am wondering if Sasaki is going to eventually go into one of those colonies to try to tell Yuji about, hey, I saw your dad. And then Yuji's going to be like, what? My dad's dead. And she's going to be like, no, it was the guy with the long hair and the Hakama and all that. And then Yuji's going to be like, what? I mean, she just found out a big piece of information that would be very helpful for our crew to know, but she's not supposed to go into the colony because she could get killed in the Culling Games. So I'm like, maybe she won't go. Maybe she'll stay behind, but the whole fact that they're like into the occult and experimenting, don't do it, guys. You were warned not to go in there. Don't do it. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. Okay, so Crunchyroll would not let me skip past the OP, so we're just going to get to the end here, and then we're going to go back. Yeah, we're going to get to old freaking Kenjaku laughing his ass off at all of this. Of course he does. Yep. Anyway, so... we catch everybody up to speed. And Hikari reacts to Gojo being sealed as one would expect him to. I do kind of like the idea that you have Yuji gets Tojo as his bestie, and now Megumi gets Hikari as his bestie. These two very similarly personality types that have claimed each of the two of them as their new best friend, which is fun. I also like the car has the stake through it, which... The just sequencing of everyone here is interesting. Damn Panda being like, oh, the principal's dead too, by the way. The way that Panda just says this as if it's the most nonchalant thing, and everybody's like, oh, Yaga's dead? And then when they turn back around, like the way, like, I love that we have these two couples. And yes, Yuji and Fushiguro are basically a married couple at this point. I will accept no further things. We're going to talk about Megumi and Yuji as well, because they're reminding me of another couple. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But I like if you look at the two pairings here, both Kirara and Megumi are both like, oh, he's dead. Oh, But Hikari and Yuji, if you look at their faces, they are immediately crestfallen and look really sad, because you could tell Hikari talks about how Gojo and Yaga were like the only two people that he could rely on that were adults. Yuji's kind of in the same boat. So that part's really sad. And they're like, well, Panda Senpai. And he's like, I'm sorry for not telling you, but it's true. And he's like, it's all right, Itadori. He's like, he didn't die in Shibuya. He fought with the higher-ups afterwards. And Yuji's like, well, that's not any better. that means he was fighting. He got hit by the higher-ups because of what happened in Shibuya. And he's like, well, I'm including it in it's all right. He's like, if you say so, then there's nothing more to add. I feel like I'm greedy. And so I'm greedy. I want more of Yuuji and Megumi and them processing Yaga's death, but there's just no time. There's no time. And also the fact that Panda's the one that told them and Panda's fine with it. And Panda's kind of, I don't want to say gotten over it, but Panda's pushed his grief aside for the moment. I feel like they don't want to get all sappy in front of Panda because they're like, well, if Panda's not crying, then we just need to tough it out and move forward, right? But yeah. So Hikari has this situation where Hikari's like, well, they said, I watched Yakul get shot in the ass with an arrow. What a nice life you lived. Who's Yakul? I don't know who that is. But they said they're going to help them with the culling game. And I like that. I like Yuuji and Panda being like, we got him. And he's like, now I've got a deal. So let's bring up, we have our groups. We're going to put Hikari over here. And Hikari wants to be able to change some regulations within Jujutsu society. Now, is that going to actually be able to happen? I don't know. But Megumi has promised that he'll pull some strings. Megumi's like, I will pull some strings using my family connections and will help out in all of this. What does he say? Jujutsu regulations? Revisions to the regulations. Okay. Now that the existence of curses has gone public, there's probably going to be some kind of revision. And Hikari is not wrong. Hikari is not wrong in this. Now that things are changing, they probably are going to have to restructure. And Hikari's like, I just want to take advantage of that reconstruction and get in my agenda while the going's good, while it's still hot. I thought he was going to go over here and pee. Did anybody else think that? Am I the only one? I'm like, is Hikari going over to like take a piss on the marker there? And is Kirara going to go join him? I'm like, what? And so he's like, what would you know about Sea Urchin Head? I like that he's like, well, I am the head of the Zenin clan. I like Megumi says, screw it, I'll use it where I can. Look, I was going to save it for later. I'm going to bring it up again, but I'm just going to preview it and say that Megumi is giving off the family vibes of another famous family in an anime I brought up last week. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but I'm like, Megumi's kind of latching onto that same archetype. Gege's doing it, so we're going to see. But yeah, he's like, screw it. Megumi is like, you know what? I'm just going to use this power that I've got currently for a day to my advantage. And so they're like, oh, you're the head of the Zenin clan now. I liked this little freak out moment where Hikari kind of had like a little internal monologue off by himself to the concrete parking block. And Kirara's like, you okay down there? Like, I thought that was super cute. I really like Hikari. I like Kirara. I am glad they are keeping Kirara out of the Culling Games. No, Kirara's power is too good. Kirara, her power is too convenient for them and apt for them to use. They need to save her for like a strategic moment. And so keep her away from the Culling Game. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So I'm glad that she's staying out of it. We're going to put her over here. So out of the Culling Game. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to put it over here by the Friends of Yuuji because they're technically out of the Culling Game for now. So out of the Culling Game for right now are the Friends. Also Kirara. Kirara is going to be stationed outside to just keep watch over things. That's smart. Appreciate that. So I do like, we're going to talk more about everybody's roles and all this. So like, that's the most shocking thing I've heard today. If I've got the backing of one of the three big families, yeah, well, it's about to be one of the two big families because the Zenin clan's about to be decimated. I could influence the revisions for the regulations. The only problem would come later is trying to keep the Zenin clan from getting involved in managing the Fight Club. I love that Hikari is the thing he's worried about is the Zenin clan trying to get a cut A cut of the Fight Club. That's hilarious. Like, are you serious? Well, lucky for Hikari, there's no more Zenin clan, so nobody's gonna be trying to cut in on your Fight Club. The fact that he said that is like just further proving that the Zenin clan was basically like a giant Yakuza clan. Like, ridiculous. Ridiculous. But yeah. And so he's like, sea urchin head. He's like, it's Fushiguro. And then he looks over. What is this? What is this? I like that they set this whole thing up of him having this internal monologue powwow over here under the spotlight. And then he slowly turns around and becomes Todo. And he's like, let's be friends. And I like that Megumi's just like, sure. This is so freaking hilarious. I love this. He literally, Hikari is like Todo in the best way, and I love it so much. Okay, with that being said, let's take purple. Let's take purple, and over here, where y'all can kind of see it, let's talk about who's MIA, right? So Yaga's dead. We know we've got old Daddy G. Daddy G, we're going to put Daddy G and the higher-ups. We're going to put them, because he's kind of basically working for the higher-ups right now. He was looking for Yaga. Yaga is dead. What we going to do now? Who knows? Kusakabe is probably on the run. Kusakabe is probably on the run because he let Panda go. And they probably have put 2 and 2 together and figured out that Kusakabe can't be trusted. So, Kusakabe is somewhere. Where is Ino? We have Ino, old Nanami's protege. We have Ino somewhere. So, I don't know. When I do volume 11 this month for Jujutsu Kaisen, I need to look at the manga. I might put on a beanie and just be Ino. I might go low-key for this one. But yeah, Ino, where are they at? Mai is dead. So, Momo, we know. Momo and Maki were last seen together, but I doubt Maki is still with Momo. Doubt that's the case. Then we also have Kamo. Kamo is somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised since Kamo is one of the main 3 big families if Kamo is just off with their family right now. Then we have Miwa, precious Miwa. R.I.P. All these girls mourning their dead partners. Seriously, Mekamaru is dead. It's just like, who's dead and who's not dead is the game of Jujutsu Kaisen. So Miwa, Udahime. Udahime, Mei pieced out. Mei was like, bye bitch, I ain't coming back. So Mei pieced out. Udahime, we don't know where she is and all this. Gojo is sealed. We're just gonna put Gojo up here and put him in a box. And he is with Kenjaku. So they're over here having a good old time. So yeah, Udahime, is there anybody else still alive? No, well, he got beat to a pulp, right? Or did he get killed? Did the one guy with the blonde hair get killed? I think he did. Or did he get away? I'd have to go back and rewatch season 2 to see if he got away or not. But maybe he got killed. But yeah, so those guys are all somewhere. Somewhere, we don't know where. Oh, Mei's little brother. But I bet Mei's brother is with her. Was there anybody else still alive that I should be taking note of? Am I forgetting somebody very important? Todo! Well, hell. Yeah, Todo. Todo is somewhere as well. Okay. Todo, and then, oh my gosh, Yuki is, well, we're going to put Todo. Todo, we don't know where Todo is, but Yuki and Choso, meanwhile, Yuki and Choso are over hanging out, playing checkers with Tengen. Okay. They're over here. Okay, cool. And then Maki is somewhere doing that. So yeah. So our player board has gotten significantly smaller, and then Yuta is off by himself. We're going to talk about that. I'm worried about Yuta being off by himself. You know why I'm worried about Yuta being off by himself? You know what it reminds me of? Have you seen the 1993 Jurassic Park? It's giving me Samuel L. Jackson vibes is what it's getting. They're going to go freaking into a building, lean up against a wall, and Yuta's hand's going to fall on their shoulder, and they're going to be like, oh, Yuta, it's you, and it's going to be just a hand. That's the vibe I get. I don't like Yuta being by himself. They casually mention him in this episode, and they're like, well, we can't get in contact with Yuta, which means our cell phones don't work. I don't like it. I don't like it. For the record, I don't like it. I know Yuta's probably fine, but I don't like it. It gives Gege too much control. It gives Gege too much control to just have something really scary happen. Nope. So yeah, so they decide which colony to go to, and around that time, we get the ding-dong, ding-dong of Kogane showing up. So we find out that the timeline of this is that this is all taking place like within 1 day of Maki destroying the Zenin clan. Okay. All this is within 1 day. So I'm glad we got like a timeline established. That was good. So yeah, I like Kogane. Kogane strikes me as, you know who Kogane looks like? Kogane with the skull eyes. Kogane looks like a cross of 3 things. Kogane reminds me of a Digimon. They very much look like a Digimon, especially with the little devil tail with the heart on the end of it. They look like a character from Soul Eater. So there's some Soul Eater vibes there. They also give me a vibe, I guess 4 things. They also look like something that would be like a little chibi that Naitao would do for Trigun. I could see that. Also looks like Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm getting Tim Burton vibes as well. So Gege is tapping into a lot of inspirations for Kogane. I kind of like Kogane, this episode especially, because Kogane kind of has like a Navi vibe from, I am Kogane, a liaison between players in the Culling Game, which is also, I'm like, can we talk about the fact that Kenjaku created this little thing? I know we talked about the design, but the personality of Kogane, I don't know if it's kind of like a panda situation where once you create Kogane, it kind of is like an AI and it takes on its own personality and draws from things. But I'm like, it has a surprisingly like little chipper personality. I'm like, did Kenjaku come up with all this? like what is the... It's weird. It's just weird, right? But it gives like a Navi vibe. Like, listen, Link, listen. Like that, it's interesting. And so, again, whoever said that, maybe I think it was Lineal, and buddy, you gotta put it up on the shelf. I guess Lineal, who said that in the intro when we did the comments, they were like, how did Yuuji become part of the Culling Game? Well, we basically find out that it's probably because of Sukuna. We basically figure that out, because Megumi's like, how did you get to be part of this? And he's like, why are you already counted as a player? And then I'm never going to get over the shot of Kenjaku in Geto's body basically kissing the little prison realm. Never getting over that. And that shot of their 2 eyes together. The shot of their 2 eyes together is maybe my favorite shot of season 2. That shot right there, that is my favorite of season 2. Bar none. It's the best. I love it. So he's been making pacts with sorcerers for thousands of years, like a freaking car salesman. And he's like, I bet Sukuna was one of those that made a pact with Kenjaku to become a cursed object. I like Sukuna's face in this moment because Sukuna looks like they would like to talk about it, but at the same time would never like to speak of it again. Is what they look like. They simultaneously have a look on their face like, God, I would rather talk about anything else, but also you're not wrong. So this brings up lots of questions. With Kenjaku, questions of why? Why did we make these pacts? If Sukuna was this all-encompassing, powerful force, why make a pact to become separated into cursed objects? Like a Horcrux. Why? What's the point? Why do it? I don't know. That's a big mystery. We don't exactly know what Kenjaku's motives are. We don't know why this is happening, why these players have made pacts. I could see why Hajime would make a pact with Kenjaku if Kenjaku's like, hey, Sukuna's been sealed up, but if you want to be sealed as well till you can go fight him again. Stuff like that. I'm sure there's been lots of pacts with that included, but I like this shot of Sukuna, especially him just like, he's forced to listen to Yuuji. Also, he's like, when Megumi's like, you swallowed Sukuna's finger, I witnessed it. There was a recent episode of Drag Race that I watched, and Law Roach was on it. He's like a fashion stylist, and one of the judges was like, I don't know if those are the shoes that Rihanna wore, and Law Roach like flips his hair back and was like, oh, it was. I was there. I was like, this was the same vibes. This was giving me the same vibes as that moment of Megumi being like, I saw you eat the finger, you chose to do it, and Yuji's like, I also think it's interesting that Yuuji looks at Megumi in that moment as if to say, you remembered that? Like, of all things, like, I don't know if Yuuji quite realizes the extent that Megumi really cares about Yuuji. I don't know if Yuuji knows that. Because Megumi doesn't come out and say it a lot, but we as the audience know. But Megumi knows all about Yuuji, and he's been keeping tabs on him, and he's been following him. And I don't think Yuuji knows the extent that Megumi cares about him. And maybe that's going to come out this season. He's like, well, we'll talk about that later. So instead, he's like, could you have Kogane, now that we know has this ability, can you have them pull up the player's information? Honestly, I think that even though we can be justified that Hajime did this for reasons that we understand, I think it's very beneficial that Gege included this because it makes it a little convenient that now we have a way to kind of parse out information with it being organic and not feeling forced. Also, this shot is like Kogane giving him a hug. What is going on? He's like, can you? He's like, well, sure can. What? I want to know. Did Kenjaku program Kogane with this personality? Did it develop a semblance of its own self? Where did this come from? What? I'm like, Kogane is like, did Kenjaku give Yuuji a pet? Like, what? What? Insane. So it brings out this handy dandy list. Handy dandy screen. Ta-da! This is also giving me Scum Villain Self-Saving System vibes. This is giving me Scum Villain Self-Saving System vibes. The PC giving all of the things. Also, you see like all the little figures and stuff on here. I want to see how they label this. And Megumi's just like, let's just get scrolling. Megumi's like, Megumi didn't even need a trial run of the tech. He already just like started using it immediately. This guy. Okay. This guy originally had 200 points. Okay. I wonder what he was hoping for by adding a rule. I do like their justification and knowledge in this moment. They're like, well, at the very least, he's killed 40 people. So by that logic, it's not a good reason. I like that they're like, okay, why would we add this reason? Well, they haven't figured out that it's to locate someone yet, but just by the fact that he's killed 40 people to get to it. Also, interesting that they assumed that it was 40 people. Interesting that they assumed. They immediately assumed that he just killed 40 sorcerers. They did not assume that, well, Yuuji did not assume that he killed non-sorcerers. I think that's a very big distinction. Yuuji automatically wanted to make it to where Yuuji doesn't want to think of the idea of innocent citizens being killed. Yuuji does not want to go that route. He doesn't want to think about that. So he tries to justify it in his head by saying, well, he killed 40 people. And it's like, but did he? Did he? We'll see. And Megumi's like, well, this still means we might be able to progress through the culling game without killing anyone. Megumi is interesting in this episode. Can we talk about Megumi? We're going to put Megumi over here because he is not with Hikari's group. Megumi and Yuuji went this way. So Yuuji and Megumi, they both go to Colony 1. Colony number 1. And Hikari and Panda go to Colony number 2. Their goal is to go find Angel, who is going by another name of whoever the vessel is that they have been reincarnated through. So they have to go find Angel, whoever that is. But luckily for them, Angel has a very distinct look, so they ain't gonna miss him by flying through the air. So looking like an angel. So, I mean, I think so. But Yuuji and Megumi's interesting in this. Because he's like, we could be able to progress through the culling game without killing anyone. This is Megumi pointing this out. Megumi makes note. I want to do a line here and bring a line over here. Megumi makes a note of saying, well, because we can look up people, because we can look things up, we might not have to kill. Again, that is good for Yuuji to know. That will make Yuuji feel better. And Megumi, I think, says that for a reason. So he's like, can you show me the list of people with 100 or more points? And I like that Kogane's like, no. Kogane's like, I'm kind of Yuji's friend. I'm Yuji's pet, so I can't do that. I wonder if this means that once they end, will Megumi get a Kogane of his own? Probably. And he's like, okay, it's fine. He's like, do what he asked. This felt very like married couple vibes. There, in this conversation, there's some married couple moments. This was the first one. So he searches. Also, anybody else think this looks like a Tamagotchi? Looks like a Tamagotchi. Unless someone who was caught up in like this is in a rush to escape the barrier, then the past sorcerers who have incarnated are also just forged pacts with Kenjaku and the others for their own reasons. So they're not necessarily motivated to do this. So Megumi brings up another good point, being like, unless they are new sorcerers who are given the powers from Kenjaku like Amai has apparently been given, we think, possibly. Do we think Amai has a power? I think Amai has a power. I don't think Amai would have been with those other two if he didn't, because I think they would have killed him by now. So, unless new sorcerers have the powers. Now, the new sorcerers, they probably want to play in the Culling Games. For whatever reason, they want something out of it. Otherwise, they would have left the barrier, right? But the sorcerers who are the ones that made pacts with Kenjaku, they might not want to play. They might not want to play. Hell, Angel might just be like, can I get out of here? Can I go home? Can I leave and go back to sleep? Like, there may be other curses that don't want to be involved in this at all. And they're ones that they could talk to. Like, Angel's the one they're trying to reach. So if anybody has an excess of points like Kashimo, yes, then those over 100 may not want to add a rule. That's a really good point. There may be some with 100 plus points who don't have a stake, and maybe they were just fighting for their survival. Maybe they were just killing sorcerers because that was the only way they could stay alive, but they really don't want to use the points. So Yuuji and Megumi get this idea that, hey, if that's the case, we could have them make a rule to help Sumiki escape the Culling game. Now, Megumi is going to go back on this. He's telling Yuuji one thing, but he's also thinking something else. Again, two things can be true at once. Megumi is also willing to make the rule. Because here's the thing. Megumi understands that Yuuji does not want to kill. And he understands the toll that murdering has taken on Yuuji. And Megumi is very aware of that. And he respects Yuuji for it. He loves Yuuji for it. And he's like, yeah, I get you don't want to kill people. So with this, we'll just find somebody that has 100 points and we'll just ask them to make a rule for us. Be like, you don't care if we have a rule. It doesn't affect you, so let's just do that, right? And talk no jutsu our way out of it. The problem is, he's saying all that for Yuji's behalf, so that Yuuji doesn't feel bad. The reality is that that is true, but also, Megumi's like, but if I get a chance to make a rule to save my sister and not rely on somebody else, I'm gonna do it. Because I don't care. And that is where things get a little bit distinctly different. He's like, we'll let them do it. So we get two people pulled up. Okay, I love the two little, the stick figures. Okay, so the points that we have. It says current colony number 2 is Kashimo. He is, Kashimo is in, we don't know where Angel is, actually. We're supposed to find Angel. That's part of it. But we're going to go see Kashimo, Hajime. We're going to go see them, or Hajime Kashimo, switch that. We're going to see them in Colony 2. In Colony 1, there is Hiromi. Oh, Hiromi. That means, doesn't Hiromi mean flowers? Because there's a character in Skate the Infinity whose name has that, and they're connected to flowers. Maybe their name has flowers connected to it. And then Higuruma. Hiromi Higuruma. What is with these illiterate names? Hiromi Higuruma. They have 102 points, which, here's the thing. 102 points. There have been 0 rules added. You get 5 points for sorcerers. That means that they've killed at least 2 non-sorcerers. That paints something a little bit different about their character than Kashimo. Kashimo, it makes sense why they've not killed non-sorcerers, because they just want to fight strong people. And the moment they see somebody's weak, they're like, no. But the fact that Hiromi has killed at least 2 non-sorcerers, that bothers me a little bit. So there's only 2. I mean, good news is there's only 2 people that have over 100 points. That's good in a way. That narrows it down a little bit. And so Megumi's like, we're going to take advantage of the obstacle rule 8 poses. I like they both look at each other like, yeah, all right, bro, we did it. We did it, bro. So Panda's like, what's rule 8 again for the people that weren't paying attention a few episodes ago? So people who don't show up in 19 days of joining or acquiring points will be stripped of their technique. So basically you don't die. You have 19 days to either join or die. And that not only includes joining, but you have to keep getting points. You have to keep killing people, or in 19 days, you will be killed, essentially. So, Megumi has the idea that what if we'll add a rule saying we can transfer points to each other. That's a really smart idea, because if we created a rule that would allow you to transfer points, that literally is like, it reminds me of horse race betting. I don't know if you've ever seen horse race betting. If I've been on like online livestock auctions, and this is how I know it from my farm background. But there are online livestock auctions where, let's say you have a day to bid. You have an entire day to bid. And then the last hour, the bidding will get down to like the wire. And obviously if you don't bid, you don't win the prize, right? You don't get that animal. So in horse race bidding, what they'll do is it'll get like down to the last 5 minutes, and the 5 minutes will count down. And as long as you bid sometime within that 5 minutes, it'll restart. It'll restart the clock. And so if you got down to like 30 seconds and you placed a bid, then it would jump back up to, okay, we got 5 minutes again. And if somebody gets down to like 4 minutes and 30 seconds and bids, it jumps back up to 5 minutes again. And so it'll keep doing that until there's a 5-minute period where nobody bids, and then the auction is done. And that's the horse race style. So that kind of seems similar to this, where it'll count down how much time you got left. Like they had like 7 minutes on the clock, but then they transferred the points and they're back to the beginning. And then Megumi's like, we'll add one more rule, saying that you can trade points to leave. Trade points to leave. Now, the first rule, I'm like, I could see the game accepting that rule because it keeps people in the game. It's not stopping the game. It's not discontinuing it. It's keeping people in the game by getting points. It just keeps people from necessarily having to kill someone else. So for example, again, Megumi could kill someone and give a point to his sister to keep her from dying, and where she wouldn't have to fight. That's why he wants that rule, to keep her from fighting. That's why. If he can't get her out of the culling game, he's going to kill somebody to keep her from fighting. Oh, we're going to talk about that. So then it's like, Hikari brings up, wouldn't that conflict with the rule about continuation of the game? And then Megumi's like, well, we might add another rule, like swapping out a non-player into the culling game to take their place. So if it won't let you trade points, maybe we'll swap in a non-sorcerer for someone to leave. That rule in itself seems like it would probably bother Yuuji a little bit more, because I don't think Yuuji would care about the transferring points system because it keeps somebody from killing someone else. That seems like it's in Yuji's roundhouse. But the idea of dragging a non-player into the culling game to take their place, ooh, you know what would be juicy? They're like, would Kogane be making the call on that? And they're like, either way, we know what we need to do from now on. Okay. It would be juicy if the girl, Sasaki, from the beginning of this episode, if she was drug in and if Megumi swapped her out to save his sister. Oh, that would create such drama between him and Yuuji. If he swapped her in, he's like, here, this girl's going to be in the game now. And Yuuji's like, that's my friend from middle school. And Megumi's like, gotta save my sister. That would be juicy. Let's hope that doesn't happen. So in the meantime, they're like, we're going to search for Angel to break the prison realm seal. We've not forgotten about Gojo. We'll pursue Hajime Kashimo. Oh, who is this? I want to see who this is. There was like, we'll pursue Okay, so we had this set up. Let's go. We had a little series of images. We saw Angel. And then who was next? We'll get this right. We saw Angel. And then we saw Yuuji. So we saw Angel. Then we saw Yuuji. Then we saw... Kashimo, who has his own personal Kogane. We saw Kashimo. We saw Angel. We saw Yuuji. We saw Kirara. Okay, we saw Kirara. Who is this? There's somebody. Oh, this guy! He looks like he has a button from the Jujutsu Society on him. He looks like tall, dark, and handsome. So we have Mystery Man. Mystery Man. He has a button on his coat. It looks like a Jujutsu high button. So maybe he's a sorcerer. Maybe he's a former Jujutsu sorcerer. Maybe he's like Nanami. Maybe he looks older. So maybe he's like Nanami and he quit being a Jujutsu sorcerer and then got back in the game. And then we have Megumi. And then we have Megumi with the shadows beneath him going both ways. You know. And then, okay, and then we have that shot. That shot of Kashimo is crazy. That shot of Kashimo is crazy. That looks like, that's giving like, I'm going to fight Sukuna vibes to me. Yep. Oh, wow. And then that eye, I'm guessing that's the Mystery Man. That's crazy. Okay. I mean, these are two guys that have killed enough people to accumulate 100 points or more. So clearly they've got some bloodlust in their system. And then we had Panda. And then we went with that. We had Panda. We had the Mystery Man's eyes. And then we had Akari. Okay. Interesting. We know that Akari and Panda are going after Kashimo, and Yuuji and Megumi are going after Hiromi. Oh, I don't know. I don't know enough about Hiromi to make any guesses, but what I do think is interesting is the fact that you have Kirara and Angel over here out to the side, which to me makes me wonder, what if Angel just wants nothing to do with any of this? Angel's like, no, thank you. Not at all. Okay, so we have some people on the board here. This person here has at least 5 points. So somebody's killed somebody. And then somebody has 100 points. Somebody has 1 point. So they've killed one person. And then, yeah. So he's like, there's no Angel on here. So according to that list that we just scanned, there's not a lot of people that have killed a lot of others. So that's good. That's good at least. And Panda rightfully points out, like, well, Sukuna is not listed on the sheet, so Angel not being listed, it probably means it's listed under the vessel's name, which that is good for us that Kashimo can't just look up Sukuna. That's good for us. Good that we know that. So, okay. It's like, just like how Sukuna's not on here. Tengen said she was in Eastern Tokyo, and which is Colony 2. So conveniently, Angel is supposedly where Kashimo is. And conveniently, Yuuji did not go that way. So they're not going to run into Sukuna like they hoped immediately, but I don't know. I'm more worried about Hiromi than I am Kashimo. Kashimo seems very straightforward. Like, I just want to battle the toughest person there. Hiromi, I don't know. That one shot of Mystery Man gives me kind of like sly, slimy, cunning vibes. I don't like it. I don't get good vibes. Not one bit. No. So they're like, do you know what she looks like? Well, you'd be able to pick her out immediately. So they decide to go Colony 2, and Fushiguro-kun and Itadori will take number 1. And then Kirara is going to stand outside the barriers. I like that Akari is like, you're not getting involved. Yes, keep Kirara safe at all costs. So Kashima is the strongest one judging by the points. So that makes sense for me to take him. Okay, I mean it does. I can feel like 2 meatheads. Kashima seems kind of like a meathead. 2 meatheads going at it. Panda's there to referee. I see no problem in that. I feel like, I don't know. Here's my thing. And they're like, you have a keen nose, Panda. You can focus on finding Angel. How are you going to find Angel? Sniffing out the cursed energy? Maybe, possibly. My thing is, Hiromi, just looking at the one image of him, I'm getting like sly, cunning vibes, but also someone that... I feel like Megumi and Yuuji are going to have to tag team this guy, because I feel like Megumi's going to have to try to outfox him, because he's giving off fox vibes, and Megumi gives off fox vibes too. But I also feel like in trying to outfox him, Yuji's going to have to be the one with the heart to be like, but hey man, deep down, you don't really want to be doing this, right? We're going to have to tag team this. I feel like we're going to have to tag team this. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but... And this is when Hikari says, the fact that we haven't heard from Okatsu means that we probably can't use cell phones inside the barrier. I don't like that vibe. I don't like that vibe. I get Jurassic Park vibes from that. I don't like it at all. Nope. I don't like the fact we've not seen Yuta. I mean, I'm sure Yuta's gonna be fine. I'm sure Yuta is gonna be okay. But Gege having it just gives Gege a card to do whatever he wants. It gives Gege the wild card. We can't detect where Yuta is or get in contact with him. He could show up at any given moment. I don't like that. I don't like Gege having that power. So then Yuji's like, well, now wait a minute. It's probably best that we split up because, Sukuna. And that's when Megumi's like, no, I'm not splitting up from you. And he's like, shut up. And he's like, our 3 senpai can't change their roles. Arguing like a married couple, right? Arguing like a married couple. So quit being selfish. He's like, selfish? I'm just worrying about you. And he's like, I need you to, why are you going to say that you're going to worry about me every time? These two fighting like a married couple is amazing. But also, I'm like, Yuji, I know why Yuji's worried. On the one hand, we're all like, Yuji, Sukuna likes Megumi. Sukuna ain't gonna let nothing bad happen to Megumi. But on the other hand, Yuji's like, I know. And Yuji's like, I don't want Sukuna to do anything to Megumi. And I'm like, well, you do have reason to be afraid of that. But no, if my theory is correct, you 3 are going to be just fine. Maybe. Maybe that's not a good thing. And I love this. I love Panda's like, okay, you 2, don't fight in front of the kid there, Kogane. And Kogane's like, Like, oh my God. These two are amazing. I could not ship them more. I love them. They're great. So like, hi, I'm Kogane. It's Navi. It's literally Navi. Listen. So yeah, so we have 7 days. 7 days in the, as it would say with the ring, 7 days. So we have 7 days to figure out what to do. We got a week. I don't like those numbers. I don't like that at all. Lots can happen in a week. Lots can happen in... Shibuya taught us that lots can happen in 2 hours. Much less 24 times 7. So, no. So, yeah, this is the barrier where the players, once you go inside, you become a player. No issues here. I like that Yuji went back to his official garb. Got that all set. So, yeah. So, then we jump to Kim Possible and Amai. Arene Amai. So let's get in this on there. We have Reen Amai. Reen Amai, who also went to school with Yuji. Now, I don't remember seeing this guy at all. This guy that looks like Ron Stoppable met Kinma from Haikyuu. I don't remember him. And I don't know what his purpose is. Like, does he have an ability? What is going on? He's clearly, like, gotten with these 2 who have used their hair to form, like, propellers. There's a few moments in this that feel like Hunter x Hunter. This feels like Hunter x Hunter. From what I've seen of Hunter x Hunter so far, this feels like Hunter x Hunter. This whole entire segment feels like it. So, lots of signs at this point in the episode, which was giving me season 2 flashbacks, not in a good way. But you have the sign of moving forward or taking either route, right? And like, we need to be wary of sorcerers from the past. And they're like, but explain to me again, Fushiguro. Some of them are from thousands of years ago. I do like Megumi expressing this. He's like, look, the value of life was different even 100 or 200 years ago. I'm actually glad that Megumi brings this up because Hajime Kashimo seems like the prime example where you have Kashimo was just like, it was die or battle or die. Like, survival of the fittest. Things were not peaceful. There was not, like, any kind of coordination or communication between sides. It was just, you're going to die or I'm going to die. So he's like, these sorcerers are used to battling it out to the death. And there's not this gray area of, oh, we can talk it out, right? So he's like, you've got to be careful because those sorcerers, you can't just talk no jutsu. Now, that being said, I don't think that if Higuruma is a regular modern day sorcerer or if he's someone from 1,000 years ago, we don't know that yet. But I don't know if that's going to be the same case for him, but I think that would definitely be the case with Kashimo. Fighting and death are common for them. That might be why they forged a pact with Kenjaku. Very much. There's a strong chance that Higuruma and Kashimo are past sorcerers. And they're aggressive ones that are going to be cursed spirits too, huh? If they're a modern-day sorcerer dragged into this like Sumiki, they might be open to exchanging information. But if they're an ancient sorcerer, then probably not. Probably not. Yep. So, like, let's go battle to the death. I do like when Kogane was like, boo. Like, to Megumi, that part was really cute. I think I skipped over that little panel there, but yeah, no issues here. Megumi has joined the Culling Game. Oh, yeah, when he says, would you like to see the rules? He's like, no, I'm fine. Yeah, he says, boo! It's so cute. You don't see the rules? I feel like Kogane is also a way for Gege to insert themselves into the series, which is really adorable. I love it. I like Kogane. I hope they stick around. So, yeah, they're like, we need to gather information on Higuruma. The thing that sucks is that they both just say yes and walk in thinking they're going to hold hands and come in, and that is not how it goes at all. It immediately just transports them to a random location, which sucks because now they're within 9 points. Also, the number 9. 9 corpse wound paintings, 9 months. Number 9, it's a divine number. Just saying. There are now 9 rules of the Culling Game. But yeah. So one of those 9 locations that are pretty far apart from each other. I like that the Rin guy has the random, like, flagger, like the red flag. I thought it was a lightsaber at first, but it's like a traffic, like, airplane attendant that's, like, flagging down an airplane, which is funny. I don't know. I think Rin has an ability, a technique. I think they forged a pact with Kenjaku. I just can't think of what it could be. We don't know, but I don't imagine they would fare long against these two, because these two just look like they wanted to kill anybody that they ran into. And they were basically waiting for once you came into the Culling Game, they're like, we're going to kill you right now. Get the points immediately. And I'm like, so Rin has to have, and they don't seem like the type of people, the husband and wife or the boyfriend and girlfriend or Kim Possible and whoever else is with them, they don't seem like the type of people that would negotiate or be willing to listen and compromise. So that tells me that Rin probably has an ability, or there's something that keeps them from hurting him, and we don't know what that is. So that's something to just file away mentally, that there's some kind of ability that he's been given. I don't know. Also, there's something up with this, because at the very beginning of the episode, Kenjaku led all of the people outside the barrier, you know, and made the series, Gege made a very specific point to note to us that Sasaki and Iguchi, who were Yuji's friends, who knew Yuji and were friends with him, were let outside and kept safe. Why was Amai not? Why was Amai not kept safe? Why was he not let out, since he was somebody that knew Yuji from childhood as well? What's the point of that? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So yeah, so they're planning to meet up. And then Yuji just basically gets rid of her pretty easy. He's like, now I have to find Fushiguro. And this guy, I want to say I really love his hoodie. I like the shark hoodie with like the shark up top. That's super cute. I want to buy that sleeveless hoodie there. They served no purpose to me. So he's like, what were their names? Haba and Hanyu. You're like, were they taken out? So Rin was with this couple, Habu and Hanyu. Oh, they're a couple with an illiterate name. Ugh. But yeah, so he's like, were they taken out? And he's like, I've seen him before. And he's like, Itadori. I think Rin is interesting so far because, one, he was very nonchalant about the fact that these two people that were killing others were taken out. Like, the fact that their deaths or potential deaths didn't faze him is concerning. At least to me. Concerning. But also, he didn't immediately recognize Yuji. He just thought about him and was like, oh, it is him. So, Then we cut to this, which I think that this shot here is actually really creepy. There's like Megumi and the girl. We're going to talk about Remi here in a second. But then this side here, it's like a shadow. Again, playing with shadows. She's like, well, that hurt. When did Megumi get this, like, sword, knife thing? When did he get this club? When did he get it? So he hit her across the face. Megumi ain't pulling no punches. No. He's like, well, you're the one who attacked me. Okay, so she attacked him, possibly with the weapon that he's holding in his hand. And he's like, damn it. I didn't expect us to get separated that way. Megumi looks so pissed. Megumi is so mad that things are not going his way and that him and Yuuji are separated. Also, every ounce of this was her. I felt like it was in a Chinese Danmai where every seductive femme fatale character is like to the main character, oh, don't you want to like, don't bother me and my feminine wiles and all this. The main character's like, I'm not into girls, dear God. So that's literally the vibe that Megumi is giving. I have no doubt in my mind that Megumi is not interested remotely in any woman in this series. He's like, where's Yuuji? So, Nu can't find him either. The colony must be much larger than Shibuya. Yeah, we're probably about over 2 kilometers apart. Okay, so that's nice to know. It's nice to know that his Shikigami have like a parameter that they can go through and not anything more. Okay, anybody else wonder if Remi is the worm that's been resurrected? Did Kenjaku make a pact with the worm? With the worm spirit? Did Kenjaku take the worm spirit that they had swallowed potentially? Because I think they did swallow it, right? Do we think so, or do we think that they killed the worm? Do we think the ghetto killed the worm or swallowed the worm? Tis the question. But what if Remi is literally the worm given a human form? Because the hair looks like the worm. It does. That's all I can think of is it's a worm in a human form. I don't know. I'm probably wrong. Do you know a sorcerer named Higurama? He's like, well, men think that they can just beat women into listening to them, don't they? And Megumi's like, I don't have time for this. She's like, sorry. I don't know. Do you mean that guy, right? The one with 100 points. So yeah, he's known. Do you know where? I don't know. There's just something about her that seems like the worm. Just seems like the worm. I just want to imagine that she is the physical form of the worm. And which that would be amazing because the fact that the worm is tied to Toji and now this is Toji's son. I'm just putting headcanons out there. So that's how it is. So she is like, okay, you're looking for, did she figure everything out? Did she figure out what they're trying to do to find Higuruma and change the rules? Did she figure all that out in that moment? I don't know. I have no idea. What I do know is that this helicopter guy and Yuuji had a really nice battle. That was really fun to watch. The damn Yuuji Mission Impossible sliding beneath his feet to get through the helicopter blades. That was incredible. I freaking loved it. But yeah, also map it with all their glass flying everywhere. It was Naoya in episode 2, and now it's Yuuji in this episode, in episode 7. I believe I can fly. So he propels himself back. Yuuji uses his hardcore parkour, uses hair as a weapon, and says, I'll fight him indoors so it'll make him harder to, like, come at me. And then he stops him with his fist, which, yikes. That thing freaking hurt. You could just tell it hurt him. That just, ugh. I mean, Yuji's been through much worse, but still. So meanwhile, he asks where, he's like, he gets knocked up. At first, when he got hit, I thought that Amai or that somebody else came up and hit him upside the head to knock him out. But no, Yuuji just nutshotted him. Yuuji's nutshotting this guy. Fushiguro, like, hit this woman in the face. Like, these boys are being such delinquents this episode, are they not? But, I mean, good for Yuuji. He's like, I can fight with my legs too, you know. So, she's like, I don't mind telling you, but I want you to do a favor for me instead. And Megumi's like, I don't know. I'm not into propositions to be personal. He's like, what is it? And she's like, say please. And he's like, no. Tell me please. He's like, say it. She's like, you're no fun. I really want her to be the worm. I know she's probably not, but I really want her to be the physical embodiment of the worm. I wish she was. She asked him to become his knight. I mean, if she was the embodiment of the worm, she spent all that time wrapped around Toji's hot body. So, I mean, can you blame a woman? She kind of gives, not Zarbon, but what's in Dragon Ball Z? Who is the other one? not Kui. When they're on Namek, Zarbon is the one. Dodoria. She's giving me Dodoria vibes because Dodoria kind of doesn't look. Dodoria kind of looks. I'm thinking of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, of course, but I really when she's like, "Will you become my knight?" I mean, my headcanon is that she's the worm, and nobody's gonna convince me otherwise until it is proven wrong. And he's like, "Sure, fine." And she's like, "Dear God," she's like, "Am I that much of a bore?" He's like, "No, you're just a woman, and you're not Yuuji Itadori." So. He's like, hurry up. She's like, do you even get it? My knight is supposed to protect me with his life. Her leading him down the dark alleyway. He's like, I'll do it if you're telling me the truth. We're going to come back to that scene. So yeah, so Yuji's like, I wanted to ask you about Higuruma. And then that's when he sees Amai. He's like, I know him. That Higuruma guy. So we have two people that are saying, hey, I know them. And he's like, do you know what will happen if you're lying, right? Megumi is pissed. Megumi is like, if you're wasting my time, if you're lying to me, and I find out, he's like, I'm just going to say it, because we've been talking in previous episodes about Sukuna and Yuuji and Megumi, and my theory that their souls are kind of all three linked together. I feel like Sukuna, I know why Sukuna likes Megumi. Because Megumi kind of has that under the surface, like, no shit nonsense rage that Sukuna would be attracted to. That's just my theory. Yuuji is the polar opposite of Sukuna in every way, shape, and form. But he can handle Sukuna. Sukuna's like, you don't take any shit. I like that. And you can see why he would like Megumi. Because Megumi is not having any of this. And then he says, this is the part I wanted to talk with you all about. He's like, I'm not like Itadori. I'm willing to earn those 100 points on my own. Ooh. So, we established that Megumi, he's willing to make the rule if he's willing to make the rule if we can't find somebody to trade the points. Which means Megumi would have to kill to get to 100. And he is willing to trade people to get his sister out. I've talked about Hunter x Hunter, and what this is giving me is it's Gon and Killua. If you've watched that series, I don't think, if you've seen any reference to Hunter x Hunter, I'm going to talk about Hunter x Hunter just a little bit for like a minute, so I'll do this when I'm done talking about Hunter x Hunter. But it's giving me Gon and Killua vibes, where Gon is kind of like Yuuji, like I talked last episode, being this pure-hearted character that just that does not want to hurt anybody and wants to live by this kind of virtuous code that they have, etc., etc. Killua's from a family of assassins, and so is Megumi. In a sense, his dad was an assassin, so he's from a family of assassins as well. And so Megumi is like, no, I have no objection to killing somebody if it's to get what I need to get done. Again, why Sukuna likes him. And so he doesn't want Yuuji to know that. End of Hunter x Hunter spoilers. But I'm like, one, Yuji's gonna know if you killed somebody because he can look it up on the roster. Now, is Yuuji gonna look it up on the roster? Well, maybe not, but what if he finds out? How are you gonna cover for that? You gonna say it was all in self-defense? There's a fork in the road here at this point, where he's like, if you're lying to me, I'll kill you, because I'm not afraid to do that. There's a fork in the road here, and literally there's a red path, which is a eh, and a green path, which is a ding, ding, ding. So, which route is she gonna go? And she's like, stop calling me you. My name is Remi. And my name is Amai. They all both have similar sounding names. And he's like, Yuji's like, how do you know me? He's like, oh, sorry. I guess it was just me who knew about you. You were famous, you know. The Tiger of West Middle School. I kind of like that. I like the tiger, and it's funny because is it Chinese or Japanese mythology where it's tigers and rabbits? What is it? Tiger and rabbit. Is it Chinese zodiac? Okay. Yeah, it's Chinese zodiac. Tiger and bunny. Well, Tiger and Bunny was a TV series. In Chinese astrology, tiger and rabbit compatibility. The bashful rabbit could be taken in by the rough and tough tiger. However, when they get up front and close, the rabbit may be disappointed by his abruptness, and besides, they could hardly put up with the rabbit's doleful and distressful nature. The rabbit is logical and selfish. Well, that's Megumi! And so they are emotional and have no need for tact or shrewdness. Which the tiger is emotional with no need for tact or shrewdness. That's Yuuji. The rabbit is soft-spoken and delicate. The tiger is loud and offhand. They have a lot of opposite traits between them and will have to make major adjustments if the relationship is to flourish. Interesting. They're born under the same animal sign with similar traits, but they may fail to see eye to eye sometimes, like in this episode, especially if one is a bit too much for the other. Yeah, so interesting. But yeah, it says they can flourish if they compromise. Well, here we are. Interesting. So yeah, Yuuji being the tiger, Megumi being all about their rabbit Shikigami. Interesting indeed. So yeah. Oh, and he's like, oh, you're from my hometown. So the split ahead. Which route did she go on? You're not a sorcerer from the past. Do I look that far behind the times? Okay, so supposedly not a sorcerer from the past. Did they go the red route? What's your reason for taking the initiative to fight? And he's like, listen, average people who weren't players got let out of the colony. Okay. So basically that means that Kenjaku marked Remi to stay in there. They marked him with a technique. But why? Why mark someone that knew Yuuji from the past? Why do that? Why let the others go but mark Remi with the ability? Now, Rin did not know Yuuji like Sasaki and Iguchi, so maybe Kenjaku marking someone that knew Yuuji from the past that seems kind of earnest. It feels like a plan. I smell a stunt. It feels like a plot, something. I don't feel good about it. I don't know. Yep. And they're like, but us players who were in the colony from the start had to participate in the Culling game for 12 days already. Do you know what that's like? I'm not doing this because I want to. So which direction did they go? Did they go left or right? It's kill or be killed. You'll get killed while you're trying to find your reason to fight. Anyone can figure that out after 12 days here. I've seen plenty of people drown in their power during that time. I like the idea of drowning in their power. I love that she phrases it like that. Like people have let it get to their heads and then it's caused them to die because they just got too far into it. That's interesting. Which direction did they go? Ooh, I feel like they went the red path, but... So the pass... I feel like they went the red path, but then you see some foliage on the other side of the gate. So Megumi's figuring out... Megumi's like, ah, shit. He's like, I did not take into account that some of the new sorcerers might have been influenced by the older ones, and that's going to make it harder to distinguish who's a past sorcerer and who's a present one. But what if she's like a perpetual liar? He's like, I might have given him bad advice. So meanwhile, we see, he's like, you were allies, right? He's like, oh, with those two? I was just their gopher. Okay, now here's the thing. This guy, Amai, the pathway he's walking looks like it's like patched in green. And he's wearing a green shirt, a green jacket, like varsity jacket. So he seems like the one that's telling the truth and maybe is the more trustworthy one. She's literally in a reddish magenta dress, and I wonder if she took the wrong path. They would have killed me at some point, which is not, it doesn't seem untrue. Yeah, she has the red tones around her. He has the green tones. And Megumi's like, tell me where we're going already. And she's like, look, here's the thing. Also, look at the sign. It says, do not enter. She's a liar. No, unless they're pulling like a traitor style reveal, she's the liar. Because it says, do not enter. There's that little symbolism there with the sign. No, I don't trust her. I don't trust her. And she's like, look, there's no guarantee you won't kill me after I tell you, right? And then he has the green foliage around him. And he's like, Amai. It's Ren Amai. And he's like, what am I supposed to do if you die before I get there? And then see the sticker on the sign is red too. Oh, and she's like, that's why you need to protect me. And we can't see her face, but we can't see Amai's either. Oh, damn. Okay. He's like, anything could happen. Amai, where is Higuruma? And then fine. They both say, I'll give you a rough idea. The stronger people are gathered where the city once thrived, since resources are in good supply there. Higuruma is in Ikebukuro and Shinjuku. Okay, so who said that first? Who said what first? I want to go back there. Yeah, it's green and red. You can see the comparison. See, he's on the green side, she's on the red side. I think that she's lying. And he says Shinjuku, and she says, oh, well, wait, what did she say? He says Ikebukuro. Okay, he says Ikebukuro, and she says Shinjuku. Okay, so he says, we think that Yuuji is being told to go to Ikebukuro, and Megumi is being told to go to Shinjuku. Okay, I think she's lying. Unless the show is trying to bait us and be really obvious and put him in the green so that we believe that he's telling the truth and she's lying, and then it's going to be a flip and be a reverse psychology thing where we were lied to the whole time. But I don't know. There's even Gege's little on the poll where she's saying that. So I think when she says Shinjuku, she's lying. Okay, I can't trust her. But what if she's telling the truth? I think she's lying. But I think she's lying, but I would not be surprised if Gege pulled the rug out from under us and was like, oh, well, you thought that all the symbolism that you had figured it out, but actually the symbolism was just a big red herring and she was actually telling the truth and it was him. I don't know. Ren, I want to trust Ren because he seems like a good person. He seems like he was just a victim of circumstance and he was just trying to stay alive. So that's why he was working with the helicopter couple. But there is a part of me that feels like even if Amai has not intentionally joined the culling game and is intentionally trying to be deceitful, there's a part of me that's like Kenjaku chose him for a reason. Specifically. And Kenjaku has been following Yuuji around, as we have now known, his whole life. So if he was following Yuuji around to know the middle school kids, then he knew this kid Amai too. Why did Kenjaku mark him? What was the point? I don't like it. I feel like maybe Amai is a good person, but I feel like they're being used. And I don't like it at all. I don't like the fact that we don't know where Yuta is. I don't like the fact that we don't know enough about Amai. I don't like the fact that Megumi is walking around with the human version of the worm that was strapped to his father's waist. Potentially. It's crazy. So yeah, this was a setup episode, but I have talked for nearly an hour and a half about it. So why are we surprised? But yeah, this was a setup episode. I like Kogane. Kogane's grown on me a lot. Hikari and Panda, can't wait to see more of that, especially with Kashimo. That sounds like a lot of fun. I do not get good vibes from Higuruma. The fact that people are lying about Higuruma, they don't want... I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't want to go near Higuruma because she knows how dangerous it is. Wouldn't be surprised, but I don't get good vibes. Now, I have been told by the Discord that next week they are taking the week off from Jujutsu Kaisen. So there's that. So basically, if you're on YouTube, you'll be seeing this episode. You can go to my Patreon and check out next week. Episode 8 will be up on the Patreon the week before YouTube. But if you're on Patreon watching this, then I already have a special thing that's going to be in this slot for next week. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun too. It's been something I've been wanting to react to for a while, and I finally have the chance to. So, But in any case, this felt like a good place to leave off so that we'd have a week off. I'm assuming it's for the Olympics because those are going on as I'm recording this. But I feel like 8's my lucky number. I don't know what to think about that. So anyway, I will be back with episode 8, not next week, but the week after next over on Patreon. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care. And the King of Curses is going to go and, I guess, chill out some more until we can go back and see more with Jujutsu Kaisen. So I'll see y'all in a couple weeks. Bye.